Hey there. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. This is my first time coming to one of these. I'm excited to be here. I'm
Welcome.
smoking a American pipe maker from Brendan Pinkham, 363 pipes. It's a little reverse calabash Rhodesian, partially rusticated. One of my favorite pipes. And in it, I've got some Cornell and Deal Oak Alley. That's one of my favorite vapors. And then second, I'm going to fire up this Kaywoodie Super Grain, one of the older ones with that old craggy style rustication. I don't know how old this is. Somebody on here probably knows more about them than I do. But I picked this up in a state buy on eBay a while back and refinished it myself. But that's what I'm smoking. And let's see. Oh, passed it to. Am I supposed to find somebody else with their hand up?
Yes, sir. Whoever you see on that list that's got a hand going, that's got a hand raised.
I'll pass it to. I was hoping to pick somebody's name who I could say. Dave Hernuke? I don't know.
Hey, you're pretty damn close there, brother. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, everybody. It's good to see you all. And I'm just starting off my day with a pipe from our brother Janos, who we were talking about before we started everything. It's a nice silver spigot poker that he had made to take to the Vegas Pipe Show. And I had a virtual Vegas Pipe Show because one of our other friends was there going around with his camera. And when he stopped at Janos' table, about a minute later, this was in the mail to my house. So, and I'm smoking in it right now some Peterson University Flake, which is nice for a cool day. After that, I'm going to smoke my Radice Rind, Lavat, and I'm going to follow not quite as closely with Nathan, but I'm doing some McClellan Beacon from 2009. And it's pretty yummy. I also enjoy the ketchup smell in my beard afterwards. So I had a good chuckle when you said that, Nathan. So well, with that,
you can never go wrong with McClellan.
No. Yes, unfortunately, the only thing wrong with it is that you can't get it very easily anymore. But yeah, I agree with you, Dimitri, for sure. So I guess since I'm smoking his pipe, I'm going to pass the pipe on to our friend Janos in Cyprus. Hi, Janos.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Dave. Hi, Nathan. And sorry, today is time to smoke a cigar. I used to smoke Saturday night. This night is almost 9:30 in the night here. I smoke Brazilian cigar today. The name is Alonso Menendez, which is the wrap is from Cameroon, very nice. And I toasted with high spirit. Okay, the pipe passed to which one is not.
That Japanese whiskey sure is nice, Janos.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice. Which is don't speak.
Looks like there's a Dave and let's see. There's a couple of Daves. There's one Dave. Let's see. Dave, you already went. Dave in LAX. Looks like he's.
From San Diego. Yeah, but you are mute.
Yeah, Janos, what's up?
I'm okay, but coach, you smoking?
I've already been. I've already been, Janos, but I see Dave in LAX.
Yeah, let's pass.
Yes, Dave in LAX. And Mr. Foreman looks like wants to get a hand up there too. Guys,
And even though
help
I'm invisible, I'll go, man, at some point.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah,
DDR.
hello everybody. Happy New Year. Greetings from Green Valley, Arizona. I'm starting my day. I kind of got up late this morning too, so it feels like morning to me. But smoking Balkan Supreme in a big Costello Shape 67, the flat bottom billiard. And you guys were talking about pipe shows earlier, and I just wanted to remind everybody of Nathan's show up in, I think it's Albany. Is that correct? Albany, New York. Started last year. And if I can be so bold as to mention our Vegas pipe show, which will be October 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Palace Station. But with that, I will hand it off to, has Glenn gone yet? Glenn, have you gone?
No, I haven't.
No,
Thanks, Dave.
I'm going to pass it off to you, buddy.
All right. I like that Arizona weather much better than what I see out my window.
Yeah, no, it's nice here, but we're supposed to get the rain from California tomorrow. So, but I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
Very nice. Oh, we've got 16 inches of partly cloudy out in my yard and 3 to 4 foot icicles hanging off my roof. So, was out yesterday sweeping them off. So, today I'm smoking a it's probably a 20-year-old Pioneer Meerschaum. Actually, it looks like a black briar pipe, but it's Meerschaum. Oldie but a goodie.
That's
And,
amazing.
The fuel for today is A&C Peterson's gold band Balkans or I can't even think of it. Bengal slices. Very nice stuff. So let's see. Browsing through, I don't see any other hands up.
pass it over to DDR. He'll share.
So, first of all, I want to say it's so great to see everybody in the club today. And I am shaking my head. I have, for those of you who don't know, I have my own personal Mercury in retrograde that follows me pretty much everywhere I go. And even though I test all of my gear every single day, I swear to God, it's just as soon as I'm going to need it, it goes kablooey. And so I also want to just acknowledge all the people who are watching over there on the live stream. We finally did get up on live, and we've got 13 whole people, 6 people, and 1 pirate, because all I get is an eyeball. That's to tell me how many people. So that's awesome. My dog's outside going crazy, so I'm gonna get going here in a second. Could I ask your indulgence? I know I've asked everybody in the Zoom room here about 12 times if they can hear me. I have a brand new microphone set up, and I'm trying just to determine the sound quality. Does it sound weird at all, or does it sound normal?
Yes, it keeps going up and down. So
It goes up and down. All right.
Yeah,
I think
it's modulating quite badly.
I think I can. How's that? Is that any better?
It sounds weak
much
too,
better.
not bold and strong
Not bold and strong like
used to
bull.
be.
Yes.
Got a new
Well,
one.
because it's a different microphone, but I cranked the gain a little bit. Does that help?
That's better. That's better.
That's
Yeah,
better.
that's
All right.
Better, yeah.
All
It's good
right.
now.
See, that's what I need. With a little help from my friends, that's how I do it. Okay, I'm going to try another new thing I have here, if I can, to show you what I'm smoking today. Let's see if this works. Nope, that doesn't work.
Careful, DDR.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thank you.
So you're wearing pants now.
Here we go.
You're right. Here's a brand new, there we go. All right, so that's supposed to, okay, so that almost works. It does, it almost works.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I am smoking some Until the End.
I don't know what you mean by.
watch once. So this is Until the End, by a collaboration between Cornell and Deal and Warped. And I'm smoking it in this cute little chubby squash tomato or whatever this might be, Kaywoodie, that I got for like a dime at the Chicago Pipe Show. So I don't know if you know anything about this one, but I really enjoy it. It's a good smoker. I've come to realize, some of you may have been following that fact, that I'm going through all my pipe collection and figuring out which pipes I actually enjoy smoking, and I realized that I'm quite fond of bents. No weird comments there, Janos.
Everybody's on their best behaviors today.
This is still a family show. Yes, let's not. So I hope. I hope it's still a family show. I have to remember my audience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is a nice. It fits very comfortably in the mouth. It's a good smoker. It keeps the tobacco lit the entire time. It's got a great little feel. It's weird. It's a weird shape. It's like somebody took a tomato and literally sat on it, and that's what we got there. So Nathan, I don't know if you've got any comments on that, but there you go.
Yeah, that's a newer shape that Bill wasn't so sure he should put out, and I spent some time convincing him that it was just weird enough to be awesome. And it is really popular.
Exactly. It's just weird enough to be awesome. I passed by the table in Chicago, and I wanted to get just a kind of a pocket pipe that wasn't gonna break my heart if it fell on the floor and broke and whatever. And this was really like giveaway pipe, and I'm like, that is just a strange looking pipe. I love it, and so there you go. That's what I'm smoking today.
Can we pass the pipe to Farrell?
Yep, that was my next comment. I don't know if Farrell still wanted us to go ahead and share with us. Go ahead, Farrell. We'll pass the pipe to you.
Okay. Can you see the pipe?
Yes.
Okay, this is a Kaywoodie stack.
Yeah.
Got it in Columbus when I lived there at the Columbus show. Liked it so much, I got a second stack. I'm smoking some Galworth and Hogarth. Where's it, Samuel? Anyways, Bob's Chocolate Flake. It's delicious. And by the way, let me give you a little biography so you can know a little bit more about me. Because this transition stuff is getting a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? How y'all pick people? Well, you're gonna know me after this. Number one, I started smoking when I was 16 in high school. And yeah, it was strange, okay? Everybody smoked cigarettes. I tried them, didn't like them. Tried a cigar, turned green. Then I tried a pipe. It stuck. Of course, the Christian brothers thought I was very strange, okay? 16 years old smoking a pipe. What did they know? They didn't know that. Anyway, and from there, I just kept buying pipes. And it expanded. I go on vacation and get a pipe. I take a visit to another city and get a pipe. And I started doing a little research. And I started looking at the various pipe brands and names, fell in love with the Italians, as we do. And then I broadened expanse. And I'm not going to tell you how many, because it's kind of scary. You know what I mean? It's kind of scary. But I don't tell the wife either, so we keep it a secret.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's right. In any case, tobacco-wise, as most people, I started in drugstores with God knows what aromatic, from Cherry Blend to Carter Hall to whatever. And then a professor at the school I was going to saw me smoking a pipe one day and said, been to a tobacco store? I said, no, not really. He said, I'm gonna take you to a tobacco shop. And he took me, by the way, this is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He took me to a small little tobacco shop on an alley up in Germantown. And that's when I saw my first Prebenholmes and Ben Wades and all kinds of freehands, and that really did it. And by the way, back when I saw these pipes, they were very, very reasonable. And that's launched the career in collecting, yes. In any case, been to the Chicago show a couple of times, Columbus 3 times, St. Louis once, met a lot of great people, and not too long ago, joined the San Diego Pipe Club. One other thing I should mention, I'm a writer. I write plays, short stories, and poetry, and have published the same. So guess what? Y'all can end up as the subject of one of my short stories. That's right. And I'm writing one now that's called Smoke Gets in Their Eyes. It's murder in the pipe club. Anyway, that's enough for today.
That's awesome.
Thank you. That's awesome. Well, we can't wait to read.
Okay.
Hey, Farrell, is in your story, is the murder?
Yeah, we'll be rooting for it to be published soon.
Say that again. What was your question again?
Oh, Farrell, I was wondering, in the story, is the murder weapon, is it one of those big magnums?
Nope, it's not a pipe. In fact, in fact, it's not a pipe club member, and there are 4 people that get killed. Actually, 3 people that get killed. 4 dies of natural causes, but that's what sets it off. But it's not a pipe club member that does the murders, and I ain't giving away nothing else. Nope.
We gotta wait for it to come out.
That's right.
Yeah, just let us know when it's out and where we can read it.
Will do. Will do.
Yeah, well, we'd love to have that. We'd love to be able to read that and post it around. So thank you for sharing. Well, thank you guys all for sharing. We appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and get us started here because we're ready to start introducing our guests. Some of you guys got the assignment and brought along your Kaywoodies for today. So thank you guys for supporting. As many of you may or may not know, we have a very special guest today. We will be talking with Nathan. Where are you, Nathan? I lost you. We're going to be talking. Oh, there he is, Nathan Davis of Kaywoodie, and.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to kind of let him introduce himself because that, there's Dave back there, sorry. That I think Nathan has to share and has to offer, and I'm really excited to hear about him. So thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you coming, my friend.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was exciting to get the invite. I like to pop in here once in a while. So always nice to be a guest instead of just popping in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself for people who are unfamiliar. You know, who are you? What do you do? And we know that you are connected to Kaywoodie in a way, but tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. It's easier to talk about what I don't do than what I do. I spread myself way too thin. But I was an occasional pipe smoker who smoked cigarettes, who wanted to get off cigarettes. And that's really what began my pipe journey. Decided to, just one morning, I didn't like everything. I could smell the cigarettes on my coat and on my hands and everything else. And that day I just said, all right, I'm done. This is gross. So I picked up a basket pipe that I'd been kicking around for a while and some terrible aromatic tobacco and switched to that, and was not long before the journey began. I wound up with some estate pipes like we all do, and full of like 1930s Kaywoodies, and met a couple of people as I liked my Kaywoodie pipes, and soon thereafter discovered that Kaywoodie was in fact still in operation, owned and run by a 4th generation pipe maker in the family, and got to meet him because they have this little, used to have this little holiday party in December that was a slow smoke and pipe show and kind of a Kaywoodie celebration. So I got to know Bill and realized how much he did for the 170-year-old brand alive and kicking, and discovered that there was still a lot of like negative thought about Kaywoodie in the world, and people thought they were all just basket pipes and drugstore pipes, and then discover that it's like one dude making up to 10,000 pipes a year by himself. Got a bad rap, so I took it upon myself to collect them, vintage, new, everything, and spread the word about how awesome Kaywoodie was. And I joked about quitting my job and becoming a retailer and making them more readily available. And I don't know, 3 years after I made that joke, it happened. So I kind of became ingrained in the pipe community, and I spent 13 years in the legal field. I was a nanotech chemist turned patent agent, and wrote patents for semiconductor companies and all that kind of stuff. When my firm lost a bunch of the nano and semiconductor work, and I got thrown into pharmaceuticals. And I discovered that those were the biggest monsters I've ever met, and I couldn't live with myself doing pharmaceutical work for people who cared more about money than the health of the people that they were supposedly trying to help. So one day I walked in, I quit, I gave Bill a call and said, "Hey, what's my minimum order? I need to do something else." And so we started our professional relationship. We'd been friends for a good amount of time, but I made my first order at Kaywoodie Pipe, put a website together. I convinced him to do a 100th anniversary of the use of the name Kaywoodie, and so he made 100 limited pipes of that, and I sold those kind of under the table to fund the launch of my company. So those were sold like quietly at the New York Pipe Show and a couple of other places, and over Facebook and everything. And then I used the funds from selling most of those 100 pipes to launch Kaywoodie proper and start selling the order I got from him. So it was a crazy adventure to get to that point.
When was that?
That was about 4 years ago. April will be 4 years.
Wow. That's a big change. That's going from, I mean, pharmaceuticals to selling pipes. I love it.
Going from 6 figures to being really poor.
Yeah, well, there's that too, yeah.
But really happy. You know, I live in the country. I was commuting out to Albany, you know, driving an hour each way every day. And at a law firm, they're like, "Oh, you know, we want you to be a partner and start working 12 hours a day." I'm like, "Cool, so 14 hours away from my family. That sounds great." So they really just kind of pushed me to the limit of what I could handle. And then the pharmaceutical, you know, the dollar signs instead of health was like clenched for me. Like, no, I'd rather hang out with pipe guys the rest of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an easier crowd to hang out with. That's not even a question.
Yeah, I met some of the coolest people right off the bat. I was about 4 months into taking pipe on full-time hobby, you know, as a pipe smoker, giving everything else up. It was about 4 months in when I got invited to that Kaywoodie holiday party the first time, and was just around. I was like, "Oh, I'm going here. I'm just this random guy who smokes pipe. I don't know a single person here." And they were like family the second I walked in the door. Kim was probably one of the guys there my first time. And well, actually, a number of people on this call have been in at different times. So it was just like, "Hey, welcome. You like Kaywoodies, you like pipes," and people were sharing 20-year-old tobacco. You know, there's a round table of, you know, top shelf liquor that's just thrown on the table for everybody to share. It was a crazy time, and I was hooked with the crowd ever since.
I found it to be pretty universal that there's a lot of people who go to their first pipe event, meeting, club, get together, or whatever, and they're just blown away by that. There's there's everybody sharing their tobacco and chit chatting, and everybody's got their, you know, drinks out and they're sharing those, and there's just like this camaraderie that just draws people in to the community, which is such a cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and around the same time I was launching Kaywoodie, they did a slow smoke contest there, so I won that. I got asked to be the new vice president of the United Pipe Clubs of America because they needed a young guy who could win competitions to help take over. It was all downhill from the second I was in. I started being involved in every aspect of the industry and community.
Yeah, really saturating yourself in there. Absolutely. And you also make pipes too, correct? Or you did in the.
I do. Yep. It switches. When Kaywoodie was a slower business and still building, I was like, well, what do I do to help pay the bills? I had been a tour guide for a while. And then I realized I was making pipes as a hobby for 4 or 5 years before that anyway. But they were all just for me or friends given away for free. And I was like, hey, things on the market. So NQA is my handmade brand. And when I started making them, I couldn't keep them long enough to list them. They were all sold immediately. So whenever Kaywoodie business is running efficiently and I don't need to be hands-on all the time, I'm in my own workshop cranking out NQA pipe. I slow down between pipe shows, but when pipe show season comes around, I usually have a lot going through the shop again.
That's awesome.
And on top of that, now some of you may have seen I did the first run of Kaywoodie pipe. So NQA is fully handmade, and then training under Bill, working with him in the Kaywoodie workshop, I realized I could probably do a production line too, and so I made a line of Kaywoodie production pipe that are essentially the same process Bill used, as just me next to him making them instead. And so there are a couple left, but those sold out pretty fast. Besides the last few because it's a weird shape that I knew making a ton of them was not a great idea, but I like them. So yeah, I'm actually headed down to the Kaywoodie shop probably Tuesday to go crank out another 200 or 300 Kaywoodies to finish at home and do kind of limited release drops of them over the next 8 months or whatever. I don't like to put too many out at once, but I'll prep them all down where I have access to some good equipment. You know, old 100-year-old self-centering, all that stuff that makes Kaywoodies so fun and easy to make, and so popular. So I'll do another few hundred Kaywoodies and probably do 25 or 50 at a time, finishing in my own NQA workshop.
I gotta imagine it's not often that somebody who finds a hobby I know it's not often that somebody finds a hobby and then dives in and makes it a career, but then on top of that, take your specific love of this one brand and you're making the pipes for that. I mean, that's just with their equipment that they've been using. That's just a really cool full circle that came back around for you.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I'm that person. I'm that personality type that when I enjoy something, I take it way too far. But I just count myself really incredibly fortunate to have happened upon Bill, fallen in love with a brand that happened to be 2 hours away from my house, and just to be accepted. You know, that's the part that blew my mind. It was cool that I had some kind of access to it, but then to be accepted by everybody and just brought into the fold. When I started making pipes before Kaywoodie came along, the initial NQA stuff, it was Heisenberg Pipes down in North Carolina who took me under his wing, and he's like, just drive down here and I'm going to give you enough equipment to take home and build your own pipe shop, and it's free, because we were friends from an old Briar Nation, one of the Facebook groups. We were admins together. And so he invited me down, and I was like, well, the only thing I asked, free equipment's awesome, but I don't really know what I'm doing. I've done everything like with hand tools, not tooling. So I need some lessons. He's like, yeah, stay for a week and I'll teach you everything and send you home with all the equipment you need. I was like, this is nuts. Like, I don't know how I keep stumbling upon the right situation.
Yeah. there's nothing to feel like you really confirmed your calling, right? Then everything just kind of slipping right into place where it should be. That's so for those of you, I'm gonna go ahead in the group chat. I'm gonna post the Kaywoodie website link so you guys can check out the Kaywoodie website as well. But can you tell us a little bit more about Kaywoodie? What is Kaywoodie? What do you do? What do you who do you supply? What do you sell? What do you just give us the overview of Kaywoodie.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kaywoodie grew out of a very simple fact that when I wanted to buy Kaywoodies myself, I could go on eBay and buy old ones. I learned a lot about dating them, and I became the guy you go to ask questions about your old Kaywoodies. But when I wanted to buy modern Kaywoodies, I couldn't find them anywhere. And I knew Bill, so I kept running into him at trunk shows and pipe shows. But outside of that, they weren't really readily available. So I'm like, Bill, what's the deal with Kaywoodie pipes? Why can't I just buy a super grain when I want a new pipe? And he let me know that it has always been Kaywoodie's way of doing business, that they don't sell direct. They only sell to retailers. And I was like, well, that's cool and all, but where are these retailers, these mythical retailers that have Kaywoodies available? And it turned out that 90% of it was brick and mortar shops in the middle of nowhere, little mom and pop pipe shops. And there were only really 2 online retailers that occasionally carried his new stuff and made very infrequent orders. So I was like, hey, if Kaywoodie is going to move forward in the future, there has to be some kind of online presence where you can just pop on and buy yourself a Kaywoodie. And he agreed with me, but he had zero interest in taking it on. And that's when the jokes began. And he said, well, why don't you just quit your job and do it yourself? And I was like, Bill, one day that might happen. So we kept talking about it. I frequented the retailers that he did have. One guy, Bill, let me know when he ordered some pipes that I wanted to buy. And it took him 9 months to list those pipes online. And I was like, this doesn't make sense to me, man. I can't do this. So we talked more and more about it. Initially, I offered to come work for Bill. I was like, break the trend. Start your own online retail. I'll work for a pittance and just do it as Kaywoodie sales. And he just wasn't ready to take that dive and to change history that much yet. So he asked me to do it myself. And I'm known on the forums as Crash the Gray. It's a handle I've used for decades at this point. So I started thinking, what would I call a company? Everybody knows Crash the Gray is the guy you go to for Kaywoodie help. So why not roll that into it? And initially I landed on Graywood because it sounded cool and the name was taken. So I went with Kaywoodie, but I called Bill and was like, hey man, I don't want this to be confused as me being a part of your business. It's an homage to your business. And as long as I was very open about that, he was happy for me to use the name. So I registered Kaywoodie. And basically, initially, I called myself your Kaywoodie provider. And I cherry picked from every batch of pipes that he made, I could drive down. So I drove down and I would steal the best pipes out of everybody's inventory, to be honest. And then as the relationship grew and as my business grew, he really just started making the pipes for me and kind of selling and doing custom orders for a couple of other retailers. But he liked the way things were going between us and the every month ordering process. So he really just started custom making the pipes that I needed and wanted and that were moving. And we started re-releasing old lines, busting out old stamps and old finishes. So Kaywoodie is basically, if you want the Kaywoodie you want and you want it every month, brand new inventory, Kaywoodie is basically a monthly drop of all your favorite Kaywoodie shapes, finishes. And I work directly with him to make sure that we have some regular stock and, new stuff all the time. I work with him on new shapes. We dig through stuff together and come up with ideas. So I'm not officially associated with Kaywoodie. I'm just the main retailer, and always kind of taking more of that share of the market until, kind of one day I hope Kaywoodie is your exclusive place to get good Kaywoodies. Maybe not fair to the the competitors in the world, but it's what I built my entire career on at this point. So I just run with it, and if it feels unfair, I feel bad, but it keeps my family fed, so I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great. The website, the Kaywoodie website, is pretty impressive. I was scrolling through it, and if you guys have an opportunity to, I'd suggest you do as well. There's a lot of the history page was very informative. I actually learned a lot about the Kaywoodie name, as well as history of a little bit of Medico and Yellow Bowl and all other brands that were related to the Kaywoodie family, or were in that KBB family. So can you give us a little bit of a history lesson? I'm a history person. Can you talk a little bit about the history of Kaywoodies in this country? And as I know, on your website says SM Frank & Co. is the oldest pipe house in America. And that fascinated me. And so I'd love to have you share a little bit about the history.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give the simple version because you get bogged down in details. And when you want that, I make Bill do the talk because he can give you all kinds of specific years and really get into it. But am I good right now? One of these is freezing. Let me pause for just a second.
Oh, you're golden, brother.
All right, cool. It froze up for a second. I wanted to make sure it was only on my end and not your end. So KBB is the original company name, and the clover grows out of the fact that they put their initials in the three leaves. So you had KBB, it was Kaufman Brothers and Bondi, and it was two brothers and another guy who got together to run this business. And then initially, Kaywoodie was, so that's the 170-year-old company beginning. And Kaywoodie was a line. They'd tried a couple of different lines of pipe. Dinwoodie was one. And then they went with Kaywoodie, representing the K from KB&B, and just calling it a woody because it's a wood pipe. And that brand, that line took off so much that it overtook KBB and became the brand. And instead of a Kaywoodie, they started having, instead of a KBB Kaywoodie, it became a Kaywoodie Standard and Kaywoodie Super Grain, and all the lines got absorbed into that Kaywoodie name. So when I had Bill do the 100th anniversary pipe, he was like, well, it's a little weird because we'd already done a 100th anniversary. Was of the overall company. Kaywoodie was actually first put into use in 1918 and 1919. So we celebrated the 100 years of the use in commerce of the name Kaywoodie back in 2019. And from there, the company changed hands a couple times because when the Kaufman brothers were coming of age, they didn't have anybody to keep running it. And so it changed hands a few times. But SM Frank was a company that Bill's great-grandfather worked with, and he was essentially like a traveling salesperson. SM Frank itself was an old man, Mr. Frank, and so he had some employees, and he was originally kind of a on-the-road salesman himself. And when the opportunity arose, he took over the whole company. And then Bill's great-grandfather worked for him, sweeping floors and then selling pipes. And same thing happened when Mr. Frank came of age. He didn't really have anybody to sell the company to, and it wound up in the fur box. Bill's family took it over and really cared about the history of everything. So he maintained the history of that company. And he and his family worked together to go through all the old records and restore what they could. And kind of, it had started to slip at some point, so they kind of tried to restore it to its greatness. And over the years, it's been in the U.S. There were some Italian makers who got rights to use the name for the European market. There was some London-made stuff for a while. To this day, there are some Medicos made in Canada, but SM Frank has been around and owned the Kaywoodie name. KBB just went away as a name when Kaywoodie took over. But Medico and Yellow Bull were basically offshoots of the original company. So they've all been maintained so far under the SM Frank brand, as not really seconds, although they are typically less expensive. Medico is just the filtered version. It's the same briar. It has nylon stem with the metal tenon in there to hold a filter. So it's really just a filter option. And then Yellow Bull, everybody always loved that honey coating on the inside that was never really honey. It was always just a yellow bull coating that's the same basic process as a black bull coating, but with some color in it. So Yellow Bull has been maintained for historical reasons. It has a removable stinger for the guys who missed the stinger of Kaywoodie. But they've all been together the whole time. They were seconds brands or their own brand, and have changed course a few times through the history, but continue to just be part of that brand. But the shift in focus has steadily been towards Kaywoodie.
Yeah, I can imagine. It is a well-known name. I mean, Medico is too, but definitely that those Yellow Bulls are pretty cool. I've seen some antique ones at the pipe at whatever antique stores, and every once in a while you run into one that still has the paper cap right over it that's protecting the yellow still. And it's those are. Do you have a number of Yellow Bulls as well?
I do. My collection of Yellow Bulls, I have some from the 20s and 30s, but it's handfuls of Yellow Bulls. Some with the paper on them, because everybody likes to have one unsmoked with that little paper piece protecting it. So I have a few of those, and I have a few Medicos, and some of the Medico when it still said Frank from the Frank Medico of SM Frank, and stuff like that. But the Kaywoodie collection is where it's ridiculous. I won't count how many there are because that'd be obscene.
Yeah, I know a number of us are all hesitant to share exactly what our numbers are. I can understand that.
Yeah, one day my wife asked me how many pipes I have. I'm really open. I don't have to hide her. Part of why we were able to let me quit my job and go into business for myself was that she trusts my business acumen most of the time. So one day, though, she asked me how many pipes I had, just out of curiosity. And I told her, I was like, I don't count, because then I never feel like it's too many. And so
that's
she asked,
a really good way to do it.
Yep. So she asked if she could count to some extent and get a feel for it. And I told her the only deal was she had to stop at 100. So she stopped at 100 and told me that I have way too many fucking pipes. Like, well, what are you gonna do?
That's why I told you not to count.
That's when you go look at their shoes, and then you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's not like that. We're country folk. We don't have shoes. We have muck boots.
That's funny.
But yeah, I make a habit of not keeping track of how many pipes I have. I will say, since I went into business selling pipe, I actually acquire far fewer than I did before I was in business, despite the fact that, I can keep them at wholesale prices and all of that jazz. I've kept, I'll talk about it on the podcast, I don't remember now. I've kept maybe like 3 pipes out of my own inventory in 4 years. And it's because while I can buy it for myself at ridiculously great prices, I feel guilty every time I deprive my customers of a cool pipe. So the only time I'll take them is if they don't sell in the first month, and then I'll consider taking one for myself.
Oh, that's a good way to do it. Yeah, that's funny. I've noticed that since I started working in the industry, my PAD has also come down, and I kind of think about it similarly, where I see these pipes on the wall. Maybe next week I'll do, instead of the tobacco wall, I'll put my pipe wall up. But I've got 310 pipes on our wall in the shop, and I look at them and I kind of look at them. They're my babies that I'm waiting to adopt out. You know what I mean? Like I want my customers to have the opportunity to find these pipes, to have them themselves and to love them. And you know, if one doesn't sell for a year or so, I might maybe that one was my baby after all, and I'll grab it. But I've also noticed that that's part of it's. You're like a steward, right?
Right.
So on one of the things that I found really interesting on the history page of the of your website, of the Kaywoodie website, was talking about how it's very focused on like location. You focus on a lot of the different locations of the different manufacturing and corporate offices of Kaywoodie throughout the years. And one of the quotes that you had on there was that Kaywoodie had at one point been inside the Empire State Building, and then also at Rockefeller Center, which I found super fascinating. And I found it really interesting. Can you guys hear me still? My internet's going in and out, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating information that you already said or something. I don't know if you guys can still hear me okay.
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Okay, all right. Yeah, one of the ones that I really liked was that it said that at one point it was one of the largest pipe facilities in the world, with over 500 employees and cranking out approximately 10,000 pipes a day. And that to me is just a really awesome view of the impact that Kaywoodie has in the community back in, you know, 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah, and it's funny. They were so big. You know, now it's really one guy with few to no employees, depending. But and he's making in a year barely over what they used to make in a day, and it's just a sign of the changing customer.
Sure.
But at the time, they were huge. They had so many employees and so many offices that they were always looking for the next bigger and better place. And in fact, a lot of the other pipe houses, some still in existence, they were buying cast off SM Frank, Kaywoodie, KBB equipment. When they would upgrade, they would sell their worn out equipment to these other pipe houses. This day, if you take a peek when you go on these tours, on these factory tours, if you have a keen eye, you're going to see SM Frank, Kaywoodie, Medico stamped on a lot of machines across there.
Huh. Are we allowed to be privy to the information of where we would be looking for this? At what factories?
Yeah, the Graybo factory is pretty popular for such spottings.
Sure. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. That's cool. What is it about the equipment that, because I know that they have used and they still do use equipment that makes Kaywoodies easy and efficient, quickly to make. What is it about this equipment?
So the most important piece of equipment, and the piece that I like to go travel to use, because, you know, shaping wheels and buffing wheels, you can use a French wheel or an English wheel, all that doesn't really matter. That's all kind of personal preference. There are two pieces to it. The fact that they're all set up in a nice row, because they used to have one person on each machine. It works equally great when you're working alone, because you can just go from one station to another. But the most important piece of equipment is what we simply refer to as an upright. And what that is an upright filling machine that is self-centering. You have some hand adjustments that you can use to move it around a little bit if you're not getting dead center that you want. But what it does is when you have a stummel already shaped and you need to drill it out, these jaws come in and hold it, and they come together, and they're lined so they don't put any dents in the pipe. And you crank this piece and it holds it right there, and then it's a foot-driven chain system. So you're drilling with your foot while you're holding the stummel and drilling the mortise hole and facing the shank. And then you take it and you put the stem in there, and you drill your tenon and your airway right there. And then these two pieces fit perfectly together because you have those drilling mechanisms measured out to do the same depth. And basically it's that one upright that is self-centering that allows you to process 200 pipes in the time that it would take an artisan carver to do 5, you know. So it speeds up the entire process of the fitting of the stems and putting them together. From there, there's a lot of handwork still, but that's where the rest of the equipment being set up in a line to go one step, you know, from one step to the next is all kind of set up with different grits of wheels, padded wheel to do all the rounding, finishing work, and right down to the ability to stain, and then the buffing station with multiple wheels set up. So it's like every independent carver has those things together, but doesn't have them so permanently set up and so quick to swap out.
I'm gonna, real quick, can you hear me still?
Yes, absolutely.
Can everybody else hear Nathan, or is it my internet?
Yes.
Because I can all of a sudden not hear anybody. So what I'm going to do is Tim or Miguel or anybody, if you guys have any questions for him. Okay, so if everybody can still hear him, if you guys have questions, I'm going to open it up to the floor for you guys to ask Nathan questions, or if Nathan, if there's anything I haven't touched on yet you want to share. I'm having a little bit of trouble, so I'm going to get my internet going again. But go ahead. I do see a hand. I see Dimitri. Go ahead. You have a question for Nathan?
Well, I just want to say, Nathan, thank you for organizing Capital Land Pipe Show. It was great. It was wonderful to see you and Bill again, and all other friends whom I haven't seen in a while. And also, I want to tell about that slow smoking contest where Nathan won. Well, basically, we convinced him to stop smoking because after second person finished, Nathan kept going like for over half hour, and he could have kept going. He smoked that pipe for more than an hour and a half.
Talented slow smoker.
Yeah, I got the word it was the best time they'd ever had. And that's so the guy who came in second is this guy, Doc Gar. And he was the former VP of United Pipe Clubs of America, who basically organizes the slow smokes and keeps them all on the books and official. And he'd been waiting for somebody young to beat him. And I didn't realize that he was the second to last one out. And he goes out, and I think I went up, got my trophy, got my prize, sat back down, kept smoking. It was like an hour and 47 minutes when they just stopped recording the time because it'd been 30 minutes past Doc. It was nuts. I don't know how, but it was fun.
That's awesome. And they still use.
Sorry, lost you there for a minute.
I've got a question for you, Nathan.
They still use a lot of Kaywoodies in the slow smokes. Yeah, I know they did just at the show this last year too.
Yeah. As vice president, I had a little help in the sway of that. But yeah, the Shellcraft line of Kaywoodie is entirely for slow smokes. When people want to put that together, I can usually build to do a batch of those. And then he used them for his own in the slow smoke he was running for the Hudson Valley Pipe Club, which was the Northeast Regional. So when you win a regional, you can go to Chicago and do it for free there. So
yeah, that Kaywoodie slow smoking contest was actually second largest in the United States after Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah, why don't we pass it to Dave in LAX? Dave, you have a question to Nathan?
Yeah, thanks, Miguel. Yeah, Nathan, I don't know if this would be a question for you or for Bill, but how does somebody get Bill's handmade pipes, you know, the bigger ones that he brings to the shows and stuff? How does somebody get those into a shop? If would they go through you, or would they go through Bill, or you know, are there retail opportunities for shops to get in?
So there are some things happening at the moment about which I cannot talk. There is likely to be a larger focus by Bill on some of his handmade pipe in the near future. at which point you would be able to go through him and get some, but that'll be a little while. And when it happens, I'll make sure to get the announcement out. Right now, you have to be an existing retailer and pick them up. And Kaywoodie has, I don't know, 10 or so of them available right now. But in the near future, I think he's going to be making a lot more of them and not just having them at shows. And there will be more opportunity for that. But I have to keep it vague for the time being.
Does he still go to the trade shows? I know Tobacco Plus is coming up and the PCA in the summer. Does he go to those anymore or no?
No, not at all. It's pulling his teeth to get him to even go to a pipe show. I usually have to drag him along and basically be the sales side of it and let him be the pretty face.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I just want to share a story. Actually, one of my favorite story about Kaywoodie. It came from, as we all know, Fred Janusik is one of a well-known collector of pipe, and he's one of the biggest name in pipe collecting. He was one time a guest of Brian Levine at Pipe Magazine radio show, and it started basically on episode 519, if I remember it right. So he traveled to London and he went to one of the well-known high-end pipe store, and he can see all the GBDs, the downhill and everything. And Fred actually looked at one of the wall and there's Kaywoodie on it. So he was looking at all these pipe and basically talked to the sales representative, Kaywoodie, because Kaywoodie is basically not the reputation is not as a. And the salesman from the store was like, sir, this is not the same Kaywoodie that you can get in the States. So it's basically, some people that will give negative comments or negative connotations in one of the product. Sometimes you don't have to listen to those people. It's up to you as a consumer to basically try the pipe. It doesn't really matter if the pipe is $4,000 or $17 or $20 that you can get. It has nothing to do with that. I mean, just like what happened to Fred, and Fred was actually got educated that Kaywoodie one time is one of the foremost, brand in the world. So I love listening to Fred Janusik when he explained that, when he actually shared that story to Brian Levine, when he went to the store and saw Kaywoodie on the wall, not just on a second hand or below downhill. It's actually on the wall, the Kaywoodie product on that store in London. Yeah, I just want to share that story to you guys. I mean, you can listen to that episode from Brian Levine Pipe Magazine radio show in episode 519. You'll love that episode because Fred, I mean, the knowledge of that gentleman is pretty amazing. Just amazing listening to Fred Janusik on Pipe Magazine radio show. I just want to share it to you guys.
Yeah, for sure. So those London-made Kaywoodies were made by Camoys.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, that's why Fred Janusik was like, Kaywoodie? Yeah.
Yeah, the London-made came out of the Camoy factory, and actually they still have a partial license to it, and you'll find a couple of currently made Camoys Kaywoodies once in a while, too.
It looks like we don't have Amu. If you guys have any questions to Tim, do you have any question to
Nathan, I just want to thank you for being here and sharing, all of the history, and it's great to see Kaywoodie, still, involved in the pipe world. I think you kind of answered one question partially, but I wanted two questions I have. One, do you have like a favorite Kaywoodie shape that you just like more than others? And where do you see, as far as the future of Kaywoodie, I think you might have been alluding to this, where do you see the future?
So my favorite Kaywoodie shape is a Lovett or Lavat, depending upon how you like to pronounce it. My first Kaywoodie super grain that I bought from Bill himself was a Lovett, and it's called the Kaywoodie traveling pipe now. Everywhere I go, I take pictures with it. But from a Bill perspective, this fan is the greatest thing he's ever done. I fall in love with every one of these he makes, and try to only have this one because I would buy every one of them instead. The future of Kaywoodie, I believe I can say that it will become a little more specialty and focused over time. And instead of trying to maintain the old numbers of production, I think he's going to focus on handmaids and more of the historical upkeep, and making it more of a destination pipe instead of just a brand that gets tossed around.
I don't know if this is a question or a comment. Maybe you could speak about this as well. I think Bill Feuerbach makes like one of the most amazing bulldog shapes that I've ever seen, and I love looking at them on his table when they're there. They're just exquisite. His bulldog shape is outstanding.
Yeah, his production bulldogs are good. His handmade bulldogs are phenomenal. It's not my personal favorite shape, is the only reason I didn't mention it. But if you were to take a step back and say, what does Bill do best? His bulldog is the best on the market by far.
Well, in my opinion, if you're looking for a perfect grain, smooth pipe, you don't buy Kaywoodie. But if you want affordable pipe, which will be amazing smoker, Kaywoodie is perfect pipe for anyone. And of course, those handmade present Kaywoodies, they are amazing. They are like on a level with many artisan pipes.
There you go. Jeff Reed, your hand is raised. Do you have any question to Nathan?
Yeah, thank you, Miguel. I just want to say thank you, Nathan, for the info. I had several pipes I inherited from a great uncle. One was a Medico, and I always wondered about that. So I appreciate that enlightenment. But I've also noticed on the Virtual Pipe Club, I don't know if it's Christopher Wirt, but there seems to be someone on the club who's bought a lot of your NQA pipes. And I have to say I'm impressed with your work. A very humble title. I think you've surpassed the not quite artisan in my opinion, but also wanted to know where you sell those and how often
you remembers that. Most people don't even know what NQA is, so I'm impressed that you know what that actually came from. NQA pipes are sold at shows and usually on my Facebook page, on the NQA Facebook page first. So those are the best places to look out. When I hold on to them too long, they make it over to Kaywoodie.com. So that's kind of the secondary market. But I tend to keep them hidden, so I have stuff for pipe shows. I was doing a lot of commission work, and it got to be really hard to keep up with the number of things that I do. So I started kind of keeping them show focused. But that being said, if you ever want to see some or anything, I'm always available. I'm on 24 hours a day because of what I do in the industry. So it's real easy to just shoot me a message, and I'll still take commissions. I just don't advertise it, is largely because I was getting to like 7 pipes a week. And that is real tough to maintain.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Harry, it looks like your hand is up. Did you want to ask a question too?
I wanted to ask Nathan, I only just noticed on your website that you have a podcast. What do you cover on your podcast? Do you do interviews or talk about the pipes?
So my podcast is a little different. We are the Kaywoodie Show, and my best friend, if you've seen me at pipe shows, you've seen my best friend, Eugene Falco, with me. He trained under me and makes his own pipes under the Uncanny brand, as well as a lot of other art. He does all of my art, designs all of the t-shirts that I've sold, including Kaywoodie art that we get the rights to. So the two of us decided we didn't, kill enough free time as it was. So I wanted to put together a little podcast, and it was meant to be less about pipes and more like you were going to a pipe club meeting. So our little tagline is, it's about pipe, tobacco, pens, life, and everything in between. I do a Kaywoodie collector corner, and I talk about a line of Kaywoodies, some interesting bit of the history of Kaywoodie on every episode. After, I don't know, episode 6 or so, we started doing that. I'm a fountain pen addict. I write everything by hand. All of my business records, every last bit of information is written by hand. I write novels by hand. So we talk about pens, we talk about pipes and tobacco, but we really just sit down and shoot crap and have a good time and try to keep it. The only way to keep doing a podcast is to amuse yourself. So we amuse ourselves first, and when our listeners enjoy hearing that, it makes us happy.
What are your favorite kinds of fountain pens? I like them myself, so I'm kind of curious.
So I really wanted a Parker Dual Fold from the early years. So one of my favorites is a big red Parker Dual Fold from about 1930. That is the same basic pen that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote the end of the Sherlock Holmes stories with. So I got one of those, and I wrote an entire 65,000 word novel with only that pen during NaNoWriMo this November.
Oh, wow.
Outside of that, I'm a huge Opus 88 fan. I write a lot. I write usually 10,000 words a day or more between journaling and some other things. So Opus 88s are eyedroppers. So I always have one of those available because of the giant ink capacity of an eyedropper. But I'm all over. I like Lamy Safaris for their durability. Just like pipes, every brand has its function. But if I stuck with one, it'd be Opus 88 all day long.
Thank you.
No problem.
I got a question for you, Nathan.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I've just gone black screen. My question is.
Same problems, but
My question is, sitting there at your desk, do you have any pipes of your own collection that you'd like to show us?
My pipe collection is on my writing desk downstairs so that I can smoke and write at the same time. The office is largely only inventory. This is the Kaywoodie office that I'm sitting in. So if I scoot, you'll see that giant display case behind me is a 1940s Kaywoodie shop case that they sold that was made in Columbus, Ohio. And it has, if you've ever seen Kaywoodie.com, those colors hanging down the corner are in fact the backdrop of every photo that I take for Kaywoodie, and is the piece that I put over my table it shows. But that's a 1940s Kaywoodie display case, but it's completely inventory. All of my own pipes are down in my sitting room next to the fireplace and my writing desk. So as far as my own collection, yeah, there's only a couple of pipes that are thrown up here from me smoking while I work. But this
that doesn't sound like a terrible way to write next to a fireplace with a bunch of pipes.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. That's where all the crazy plans are hatched for Kaywoodie. Kind of a quick plug for the Kaywoodie Show. Thank you guys for bringing that up. So it's a weekly podcast. It was only meant to be every week when I launched it, but I got a lot of complaints that